What's up everybody, welcome to our channel. In today's episode, we're going to be buttoning up some loose odds and ends on the exterior of the home. We're going to install our drywall, prime, and paint the ceilings. You will also see us install our light fixtures and ceiling fans. Then we'll install our floor. And if you stick around towards the end of the video, we're going to begin manufacturing our custom cabinets in our shop.
If you guys like the content that we're putting out, please take a minute to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Also hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when we put out new videos. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Your engagement really helps us out on this channel. So let's get into it.
We decided we wanted a little more usable area for expansion behind our existing garden area here. So we had the grader come back and rework the area to make it more usable. While he was here, there were a couple other things to address. One is the front porch. By building code in the state of North Carolina, if the adjacent grade to this patio is more than 30 inches, we'll need a handrail around the patio. We don't want this, so we just brought in some more dirt to bring it up and make it less than 30 inches to the adjacent grade. Once that was done, we also put some more dirt on the other side of our patio beneath the home to make it aesthetically pleasing from the front. So in the last video you heard us, we installed the gutters and we told you about the rain chains that we had ordered. Well, we need to address what happens to the water after it comes down the rain chains. When you do rain chains, you're going to want to install drainage boxes at every downspout location and pipe the water away from the home with 4-inch corrugated pipe. Now we're going to sow some grass seed and put down some straw mat. We're using a no-mow fescue, which it's a low maintenance turf grass, and then we're going to roll our straw mat over the top and pray for rain. After months of waiting, it's finally our turn to get some stucco. Everybody's booked out in our area, and it's been a long time coming. They're going to put a base coat on all the CMU columns beneath our home to smooth out the surface in preparation for the finish coat. For the finish coat, we're using a synthetic pre-tinted stucco made by Drywall. And the color is Sherwin-Williams Tricorn Black, which is the same color as our fascia and will be the same color as the bottom of our home here once we get our paneling up. Now it's time for the drywall. This was also delayed due to product availability and delivery constraints, so we're pretty anxious to get this in and get some progress on the inside of our home. Once the drywall was delivered, we hand unloaded it and brought it into the house and strategically placed it. Then the hangers showed up, and their main job here is just to cover all the studs with drywall. We're using 1/2-inch drywall here, and this house is pretty basic with the exception of a couple areas. Once the hangers are all done hanging, it's time for the finishers. In my opinion, this is where the real magic happens, as it really takes a lot of skill to make everything inside the house flat and smooth. Once the finishes are all done, we're going to prime and paint the ceilings in the home. And the reason we're anxious to do this is because we can get some lights installed once the ceiling's painted, and that will enable us to get more work done here as we can work after hours. So we started by priming all the walls and the ceiling. We got suited up, sprayed everything, but we did not backroll. If you don't backroll your primer, you're going to see some rougher patches over the areas of drywall that had mud on the surface. So once we primed everything, we had to come back and block sand everything out. And in my opinion, this nets a smoother finish anyways, so no harm done. It just took a little more time. Once everything was sanded out, we're going to go ahead and spray the ceiling color. Pretty basic color here. We're just using Sherwin-Williams Pure White. And finally, now that the paint is done for now, we can install our light fixtures. We're installing LED puck lights here, which I really like a lot on a roof that has roof joist instead of trusses because they're so thin, they give you more room for insulation above them. These lights have a separate transformer with adjustable color temperature on the light, which is also nice. Now it's time to take delivery of our floor. We're using a 3/4 inch thick, 5-inch wide, engineered white oak with an average length of 8 to 10 feet. This is some of the nicest wood flooring I've ever seen in my life, and whoever milled this up did an exceptional job. Once we took delivery of the wood floor, we needed to let everything acclimate. So we restacked everything with stickers, and stickers are just pieces of wood that go opposite direction of the wood floors, and it spaces everything out to let air move through the stack of wood to help everything acclimate faster. I've heard people say that you need 2 to 3 weeks for acclimation, but if you stack your wood this way with using stickers, you can cut your time down to 3 to 4 days. We're going to check this periodically with a moisture meter and record our readings right on the wood here with a pencil. Contrary to popular belief, this engineered wood floor is actually a superior product to a solid hardwood. The reason is the alternating grain patterns of the plywood help stabilize the floor against movement. And the wear layer on a quality engineered wood floor like this one, you would be able to refinish it just as much as a hardwood floor because the solid part of the hardwood floor on top is thick enough to take you all the way to the tongue. Once the floor is acclimated, we're going to go ahead and install this. And we're going to install this in a manner that is not traditional. We're going to use an elastomeric, I think I'm saying that right, adhesive from Taylor Adhesives. I believe this is their ironwood. And what this adhesive does is it allows the wood to move, expand and contract, but then brings it back to its original installed position when possible. The adhesive, once it's dry, is very stretchy, which is why everything can move. And the reason we did this on this particular house is because with the large windows and doors that we plan on using, that's going to expose this home's interior to the fluctuations in humidity and temperature that you'll see outdoors. One of the big pending items on this project is the cabinetry. We're actually building everything custom here out of AA grade oak veneered plywood. What that means is A grade is what is considered to be the finest example of any given wood species. So this is a premium grade of oak veneer, and AA means that it's both front side and back side. So the idea here is we're going to build all these cabinets out of white oak. The interior will be the same as the exterior, and the drawer boxes are going to be made from custom milled solid white oak as well. So for now, we're just going to build some carcasses. We're going to break down some of our sheet goods here on our panel saw and our table saw. We're going to assemble the cabinet boxes, and we're going to veneer the front edges of the cabinet boxes, and then we're going to make our doors and install them. We're using Bloom door hardware here, but after the filming of this video you're watching now, we actually decided to switch our drawer hardware because there's a national shortage in Bloom drawer hardware. So we switched to a company named Grass, which are very nice, and you'll see those in a future video. But once the doors and drawers were cut, we veneered all the edges, sanded everything down, and just did some rough assembly work. And we're starting out here with our bathroom vanity and storage cabinet. We're going to go ahead and finish up the wiring on this home. Big shout out to Johnny Valentine of Gain Solar Services, who also has a YouTube channel, so check him out. He consulted with us on our solar setup here, and I really like the way this is all turning out. During the editing of this video, we realized we needed to explain the solar setup a little better. You're in the future now. We're going to explain what we did here for the solar as of now. We still don't have the actual solar panels, but the house is powered up and running on battery power. And we'll show you how we did that. And we'll show you 90% of the setup here minus the solar panels. So we went with the Solarc. We actually had two other inverters first. We decided to just set those off to the side and get the Solarc here for a number of reasons. One is because it's large enough to handle our entire system by itself. So there's no, before we were gonna have two inverters, now we just have one. So it's nice and neat and clean. And I'll just show you here what we did. From the solar panels that will be on the roof, there are wires running down through a conduit to the Solarc. and they go in here to the PV array. And then from there, this solar will manage that power coming in, and it will use it to charge the batteries. Now, the batteries are remotely located here because we didn't want to put them in this closet. There's a little bit of space left for Courtney to store some of her gear here, and we wanted to keep it as open as possible. So from here, you see four 4-aught copper stranded cables, and they come out, they go through these conduits, and they go through a conduit we put in the wall up into the attic, which we'll show you now. So you'll also see some other outputs and inputs over here. And in order here, we have an input for generator power. We have an output for the load, AKA the breaker panel for the home with all the breakers for everything. And then we have another one here for grid. We don't have grid, so that's why that's empty. So these two cables, the one that goes out to the generator and the one that goes to the load, actually both of them go out to a transfer switch. So nothing goes directly from here to our load. And we'll go outside right now and I'll show you how this works. So the wiring I just showed you inside out of the Solar inverter, all that comes here, and I'll show you, this is all Johnny's idea here, and it's actually pretty smart. So the thing with solar is you need redundancy, and if you just wired everything up how it says in the instructions for the Solar, there is one little issue that could bite you in the butt later down the road, and that's if your actual inverter fails or breaks or just isn't working, then your generator being fed directly through the Solar could possibly not feed power through to your panel. So you'd be in the dark essentially even with the generator. So what Johnny has done, or told me to do, is the cable that goes to the load on this is right in the center. So the center is always connected to the load. And these forks here will connect two different ways. So if in the down position like it is now, we have the load for the home is in the center here, and it's connected to the Solar right here. And the wires going down here go from here to the load side on the Solar. And then up here, what we've done is we've added 2 cables instead of just 1. So if this is in the up position, it will not only power the Solar, but it will directly power the panel as well. So what that allows you to do is bypass the inverter and power the house directly with the generator, which is really cool. In case something ever happens, we're covered. And then this right here is what powers our inverter. So this is just an extension cord basically for 240 power, and this feeds directly into this transfer switch and goes into either the Solar directly or the Solar and the load or the breaker panel directly, depending on which position the switch is in. So for the generator, we actually went with gasoline instead of propane. We have our reasoning for that, but in a nutshell, it's because if we ever get snowed in or anything like that, and run out of propane, it's going to be really hard to go get propane, versus we generally have some gas on hand for our ATVs, and if worst comes to worst, then we could always siphon gas out of one of our gasoline vehicles. So this is a Predator 9500 from Harbor Freight. Eventually, pretty soon probably we'll tandem these, so we'll get 2 and tandem them together, and we're going to think about making an enclosure as well to keep the noise down. But for right now, basically how this house is powered up is we'll run this generator for 6 hours or so, 8 hours or so, depending on the voltage in the batteries, and that will power the Solar, and then the Solar will send the power to the batteries, and then back to the inverter, and then power the panel. So this house right now will run this 6 to 8 hours, and the house will run anywhere from 3 to 5 days just on battery power, and not really depleting them 100% either. So it's pretty cool. It's allowed us to get a lot further than I thought without the solar panels.
Alright guys, that's it for this video. Stay tuned next time. We're going to be finishing up pretty much the remainder of the exterior of the home, including our stone, the paneling underneath the home, and our garage doors.
And we'll also be doing some work on the inside of the home, and then back to the shop again probably to finish up some of the cabinetry for the kitchen and the master bathroom.
So see you next time.
See ya.
Don't twist your ankles.
We're documenting this so when the house burns,